Booktube, it's Eleanor here, and today I'm going to talk about some graphic novels that I read recently. All bar one of these was a 4-star read. So I shall start with the 3-star read first. These are all books that I've had on my shelf for quite a long time and I just wanted to get to, really. The first one is called Willam Wick and it's by Laura Lee Guledge, and you can see it here. And this one is written by the and drawn by the same lady that did Page by Page, which I read recently during the graphic novel readathon that myself and Caitlin from Kitty G hosted, and I really wanted to read this one. It just sounded like a really interesting idea. It's about a young girl who lives with her aunt because her parents have died, and she's not really going through the grieving process. It feels like she's shut that part off. She has this fear of the dark and of these shadows, which is her mind sort of trying to get her to open up to what's happened, and she therefore is quite obsessed with creating lights and lampshades and various different, creations and art sculptures. And her aunt owns an antiquarian bookstore, and her aunt owns a sort of an antique store, and we're just following her journey, really. She's got 2 friends and they both have sort of feelings for each other but have never said anything, and we're just following their story over this summer. They meet up with a group of other kids that are putting on sort of a street arty, concerty, gallery thing, and they decide to become a part of it. One of her friends is really into puppets and puppetry. The other friend is a very good chef, and he likes baking, and obviously she likes making her lights. And it's just about this summer. It's about her grief, it's about relationships between her friends, and I really enjoyed it. I can't say I had an emotional response to it, and with any sort of story, contemporary, graphic novel, I want to have a connection in some way, and I kind of missed that, which is why it didn't get more than 3 stars. But I really enjoyed the artwork and I really enjoyed the story itself. So yeah, it's one to consider if you've got someone that's dealing with grief, perhaps somebody, a young person dealing with grief, perhaps this is a good one, and I really enjoyed it. So 3 stars for this one. Next up is one that most people will have heard of by now if you are on Booktube, and definitely if you're in the YA community. I really loved Marissa Meyer's series, starting with Cinder, and as she's just brought out a graphic novel called Wires and Nerve, and this is a follow-on from the Lunar Chronicles. So if you haven't read the Lunar Chronicles in its entirety, do not pick this graphic novel up. This follows one of our characters, Aiko, who is a sort of AI and has been with Cinder since the start of the books. And we're also following the other characters. We follow Cress and Scarlet, and it's about Aiko going to try and round up these sort of hybrid wolf soldiers that were created. And I don't want to tell you too much in case you haven't read the Lunar Chronicles and you want to, but it was really good, really nice to get back to this story, and I can't wait for the next one. I hope there's going to be a series of these, and I'm really looking forward to continuing. So I gave this one 4 stars. The next 4-star read was a bit of a surprise. I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did, and that was Cleopatra in Space by Mike Myhack. It's from Scholastic Books. This is book 1, Target Practice. What I really enjoyed about this is we start off in Egypt and we've got sort of the Pharaoh's daughter, Cleopatra. She's a little bit bored. She's always, she doesn't really want to be doing her schoolwork and her algebra. And all of a sudden she discovers with her friend this ancient temple that then takes her into this massive future, which has got like talking cats and all sorts of other aliens, and she is sort of prophesized as this person who's going to save them all, and she has to sort of learn in this school various different things and do her training, and then they send her out on missions. And it was just really fun. It was very quite simple artwork, but I really liked the text in here and the storyline itself. I really enjoyed the character of Cleopatra. I think this is obviously definitely targeted at a younger readership. There's no sort of bad language or sex or anything like that in here. It's definitely targeted at that sort of lower end, but for a little bit of an escapism, and as a girl that likes to watch cartoons with her daughter still, I really enjoyed this, and I'm definitely going to be carrying on with this series because it was just a real fun joy to read, and so I gave this one 4 stars also. The final book I want to talk to you about is one that I actually read for the biannual bibliothon, but I didn't read as much as I hoped for that, so I'm going to include it in here, and that is Honor Girl by Maggie Thrash. This is a graphic memoir, one I've been meaning to pick up for ages and that I'd heard nothing but great things about. We're following our main character Maggie. She's 15 and she's always gone to this sort of camp for girls, this summer camp, which is quite unusual because I don't think it's something that we do much in the UK. So for me reading about this, it's quite unusual, but a lot of kids seem to go off on these holiday camps, for some of them for the whole summer or for weeks on end, and we're following Maggie as she's 15 years old and she's been to the camp before. She's with her friends and she's just sort of discovering her sexuality and discovering herself, and we're following the escapades of the holiday. We're following her finding someone that she feels like she has a connection to, but they are a counsellor, camp counsellor, and so it's sort of frowned upon for them to think about doing anything, and she's not sure how she feels. And the time where this is set, it's a little bit more, it's not taboo, but things aren't quite as out in the open. And yeah, I just really enjoyed this. The only downside for me, and I think it would have been a much, it probably would have got sort of 5 stars possibly, was that again, I didn't necessarily get that emotional connection that I wanted, but also I was a little bit disappointed with the ending, and I feel bad saying that because this is someone's memoir, so I'm disappointed with your story. Like, couldn't you have made it more interesting? But she's telling her real life, so obviously she can't make it any more like wrapped up than it is. I was just hoping possibly for a different outcome, but that is the sort of true romantic in me, so I'm sure Maggie's life from now on has been, you know, great and wonderful, and I would definitely be interested in finding out more about what's happened to her since, and so but maybe there'll be a follow-up one day. But I really enjoyed this. It was not what I expected. I was expecting something else actually, but it was really good and I really enjoyed it, and I gave this one a really strong 4 stars, and I definitely recommend it. So there's been some really good graphic novels that I've picked up recently, standalones and starts of series, and most of them, if not all of them, I recommend, and I gave quite high ratings. So I'm really looking forward to discovering more and more graphic novels and various different ones that are sort of outside maybe the norm, not on your sort of Marvel DC universe, which I also enjoy, but I'm really enjoying finding these more independent graphic novels and standalone stories. So I look forward to speaking to you soon, and I hope you've all been enjoying some graphic novels recently. If you have, let me know which ones you've really enjoyed and which ones you've been getting into. I always love new recommendations, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye for now, BookTube.